Hello guys, today we're going to start 1.6 other types of equations, and let's do a couple examples. Let's start with example 1, solve polynomial equation by factoring. So if we look at this, let's go ahead and start working on that. We're going to step 1, we're going to start with, let's see, okay, if you look at that, so we're going to start, if we're talking about factoring, we can just go ahead, okay, we're going to start with moving. If you think about this, we're moving this to another side. Okay, I mentioned about this before. All you have to do is just change the sign. That will be subtract 27 x squared, then equal to 0. Okay, well you could just subtract 27x squared both sides, then you're going to end up the same thing. Just a shortcut, if you want to move something to another side of the equation, you can just change the sign. Alright, then positive become negative. So once we have here, because we want to solve by factoring, we're just going to factor 3x squared out. Okay. So what left over is, that will be x squared, and then here we're going to factor 3 out, that will be 9. You factor x squared out, and then there's nothing left here. Okay, that equal to 0. So once we have this, then we can set this to two equations. We can set it to 3x squared equal to 0, or x squared minus 9 equals 0. So we can continue this. So here, we'll divide 3 both sides. You're just going to have x squared equal to 0. And then you take a square root both sides, you're going to have a positive. Okay, let's just do this. And then equal to 0, take a square root of both sides, you're going to have positive, negative, 0. You're just going to end up positive, negative, 0 is just 0. Okay, that will be our first equation. So if you want to do this, you could just do this. Take a square root of both sides, and then you have positive, negative. Again, it's the same thing. So here, let's work on this second equation. X squared, again you move this to another side, negative 9 become positive 9. That will be equal to 9. So then we're going to take a square root of both sides. Okay, remember when you take a square root of both sides, you're always going to have positive, negative. Right? And then you're going to have x squared and the square root, they're going to cancel out. You're going to have x equal to positive, negative 3. Alright, so you finished the first example. So let's look at the second example. For the second example here, let me just move down a little bit. So now we have a little bit extra terms, right? There's 4 terms, so we have to deal with. So let's go ahead and work on this. So first, what we're going to do is we want to just go ahead, make everything to the left side. Alright, so let's write this way. That will be x cubed plus x squared. Again, here we're going to have positive 4x, you move to another side, become negative 4x. And you have positive 4, go to another side, they have a negative 4 equal to 0. Okay. So again, you could do is subtract 4x both sides, subtract 4 both sides. You can do that way, whatever you feel comfortable with. So now we're going to have x cubed, x squared, and then here we're going to have minus 4x minus 4 equals 0 left. So what we can do next is, if you can remember, you could factor by grouping. I think we did that in 1.5. So now we're going to put them in 2 groups. So we can think this one is one group, right? And then we can think about the second part is a group as well from here, right? That'll be this part is also a group. So let's go ahead and factor this for the first group. We can factor x squared out. What left over is x plus 1. Okay. Then for the second group, we can take negative 4 out. Okay. Remember, when you take negative 4 out, that have x left, negative 4, you take negative 4, that will be plus 1 equals 0. Okay, really want to be careful about this. You take negative 4 out, you're going to have a plus 1. Okay, once we have this, now you're going to look, how can we factor this? Okay, so with both group, now we have x plus 1, we have x plus 1. Now we can take that out, okay? So because we both have the same factor here, so when we take that out, we're going to have x plus 1. And then if you look, what's left for this first group? You're going to have x squared left. What's the second group left? It's negative 4 left. It equals 0. So now we're just go to the all the stuff. So now what we have to do is we're going to set x plus 1 equals 0, or x squared minus 4 equals 0. So I'm not spend too much time here. Okay, you totally can solve this. That will be x equal to negative 1, or in this case that will be x squared equal to 4. You're going to have take square root of 4. You're going to have x equal to positive negative 2. Okay, that's example 2. Let's go ahead and work on example 3. So example 3 is now we have to solve a radical equation. You want to isolate, I like this word, isolate the radical. Let's just use that, all right? Radical expression. So wherever you want to solve, like for example, later you're going to learn when you want to solve absolute value, and then you just isolate the absolute value. When you want to solve for radical, then you just isolate radical. So all we have to do is, okay, we're going to leave this as 2x. 2x minus 1 to the left side, and then we're going to have everything else go to the right hand side, all right? So you're going to have x, and then you have a plus 2 right here, plus 2 right here, all right? Remember, plus 2, you go to another side, that'll become minus 2. So once we have this, that's step 1, isolate the radical. Then the step 2, okay, step 2 is, your goal is you want to make that radical expression disappear. Okay, your goal is you want to turn into everything just x. What you're going to do is, you're just going to step 2, I'm going to write right here, raise both sides, right, raise both sides of the equation of the nth power, both sides. So let's see, in this case, how can I make this disappear? Okay, so what we have to do is we're going to raise to the power. Let me just write this, that way you know step 1, 2, 3. Again, if you think this video is really slow for you, you can always, maybe fast forward a little bit. Okay. Let's go ahead. I'll make this part, just change a different color so that way we have an idea of what we're doing right here. Alright, so let's make this a red color. Right? Because we know square root, if I take a square, then that will make this part disappear. Okay, so square root is square. So this is going to be disappear, cancel out each other. So what we have left is, let's go ahead. What we have left on this side is 2x minus 1 equal to, alright, because this side is going to cancel out. The x minus 2 in the square, I will write the formula right here. It's just the form of a minus 1, right, square equal to a squared minus 2ab plus b squared form. If you don't want to use that, so many of you don't want to use this formula, you can always do is use your FOIL method. Wherever you feel comfortable with, but I find this, is much faster. So let's go ahead and do this. My a is x. Now give me x squared minus 4x plus 4. Okay. Again, what you could do is you could just use the FOIL method, whatever the method you feel comfortable with. So let's go ahead. Once we have this step, right? So basically, our major thing actually is all the things is done. The main part is done. So the rest were just it's pretty old stuff. You've done this before. You did solve quadratic equations. So now it's just a quadratic equation. We can go ahead and solve it. So we can do is, let's go ahead and clean it up a little bit. Okay, make it a little bit nicer looking. So let's go ahead. I'm going to move everything. Let's go ahead. I'm going to, in this case, I'm going to have x squared minus 4x plus 4. Okay, so this side I want to turn it to 0. Okay, if I want to turn this side to 0, remember, I can just move everything to the other side of the equation, right? So positive 2x go to another side, that'll become negative 2x. And then the negative 1 go to another side, become positive 1. Okay? Because they're all gone, here we're going to have 0. Alright? So again, you can use your traditional way, whatever you want to do, that's your choice. I'm just showing you how you can do this much faster. So once we have this, let's simplify a little bit. So we're going to have x squared, okay, or not, we're just going to group them. So here is a group, that will be minus 6x. And then here we have numbers, 4 plus 1 give me 5. Instead of writing 0 on the left hand side, so I'm just going to write it, change it to equal to 0. It's just easier for me to look. So once we have this, we're almost there, alright, stay with me. So now is a really nice looking quadratic equation. So we're going to go ahead, and in this case, we probably could just do the easiest way, okay, just to factor it. So we're going to solve by factoring, okay. So we're going to have x minus 1 equal to 0. Again, this lesson is not going to focus on how to factor it. I say if you still struggle this, and make sure to ask me or look at the previous lesson. So we need two numbers, alright? Multiply together give you positive 5, and add together give you negative 6. So once we have this, we set it to two equations. Let's go a little bit faster. This is just old stuff. And then here's 0. Then you're going to have x equals 5, and or, right, x equals 1. Okay, so you think this is going to be done, right? The problem is, this is very, very important. So anytime, okay, when you're solving the radical equation, alright? So here, let me write it down. Anytime you have to raise both sides of the equation to an even power, you have to remember, in this case, alright, you must check for your solution, alright? You must check, let's just write this term now, check. Now this is called extraneous solution, right? Extraneous solution. You must check this. So normally I'll say, I recommend you to check your answers. Many of you don't do that. So, but in this case, you must check it. When you raise the both power, because you're forcing it, so you could create something actually is not true. All right. Let's go ahead and work on this. So now we're going to check the answer. Let me move some. Okay, let's check the solution. Okay, so because we have x equals 5 and x equal to 1, so we're going to start with check for, let's see, for x equals 5. Let's plug in back to your original equation. Alright, so let's go ahead and plug it back to the original equation. That will be give us square root of 2 times, alright, 5 minus 1, and then plus 2. So you want to check, is it going to give you 5? Okay, let's check this. Then if you look, that will be square root of 10 minus 1, that's a square root of 9. Square root of 9 and plus 2 equals, is it give you 5? And then if you look, square root of 9 is just 3. 3 plus, plus 2 is 5. So now you're going to have 5. And then, which means that is true. Okay? So then we say this is the real solution here. That is the solution. Let's go ahead also going to check for x equals 1. Let's see if this is going to work. Again, this is not optional. This is required when you're dealing with, when you raise the even power. Okay? So if you raise the power, let's say third power, both sides, then you don't have to do this. It's optional. Okay, so let's go back and then put this back. That will be square root of 2 times 1 minus 1, and then plus 2, then equal to, is it equal to give you 1. So that will be 1 plus, if you think 2 times 1 is 2 minus 1 is 1. Square root of 1 is 1. 1 plus 2, and then if you look right here, that is 3. Alright? That means this is a false. This whole thing tells you, basically here is a false, and then that is not one of your solution. So x equals 1, that's called the extraneous solution. Okay? So really be careful on this type of question. On your quiz and test, you will lose half a point if you don't check your answer, if you get it wrong. Alright. Let's go ahead and work on example 4. Okay, before we go on example 4, let me just double check you understand. Alright, anytime you want to solve a radical equation, we want to do your isolate. Alright, you want to do the isolating. Wherever you're working with, isolate the radical to one side. And then once we have that, raise both sides to the power. Alright, in this case, raise both sides the second power in order to cancel the square root in this case. And then after that, you're actually just solving the equation, the quadratic equation. Okay, so again, in this case, we forgot one thing, so I want to put the number 4. Right, step 4 you must do is check. Right, check answer. So that's, make sure you do that. Alright, check solution. Alright, I'm sorry, the words. Alright. Okay, let's go ahead and work your example 4. Example 4 is solving an equation, alright, radical equation with two radical equations. Not two radical equations, I'm sorry. It's just solving equation that has 2 radicals. Right, how can we do this? Let's go ahead. We're going to start with, so when you do this, let's just isolate one of them, okay, on one side. So since let's isolate one of them, we're going to focus one of them. Let's just focus on the first one. right? 3 plus 1, that is square root of square plus 1. And then we want to move this whole thing, again, this whole thing to another side, right? Because we'll isolate that one. So I'm just going to write, as this go to another side, negative become positive. Okay, that'll be square root of x plus 4, and then that'll be plus 1. Right, so we have one right here. So once we have this, we isolate one of the radical. And then the step 2, in this case, all right, so now we have square root, and we're going to raise the power to 2 on both sides. So let's go ahead, let's use a different color. Okay, let's use red. Okay, isolating. And then now we're going to raise the power. Okay, so because we know the left hand side, the square root and the square is going to be canceled out, so we're going to have 3x plus 1 and equal to this side. Okay, we have to expand it a little bit. Again, the concept is exactly the same. Let's go ahead, do this. Let's do this right here. Okay, that is the form a plus b squared equal to a squared plus 2ab plus b squared form. Okay, so we have to treat this part as your a and the one is your b. So let's go ahead and write this right below it. I find that many students struggle on this one. Let's go ahead and just write right below it to see if that's going to help us a little bit. Okay, so I just make this go all the way here. Okay, so if you look over a, let's see if this is going to help you out a little bit. So our a, this is our a, right? And then let's look, so again, let's make an a all the same color. So I know this part going to be my a, alright, this part going to be my a. So then let's make it b. Let's see what color I'll use. Let's use a pink. So that's our b, and then here. So we know b right here is 1. Okay, so right now here, part of this one is a b, and then here's a b. Alright, approximating around there. Okay, so let's go ahead and plug it in. So a is square root of x plus 4, right? Don't forget, it says a square, and then plus, okay, I'm just going to follow the formula, 2 times. A again is square root of x plus 4. Okay, this is my a. Alright, the whole thing's, I'm going to fix the color to see a little bit. And then multiply b, that would be multiply 1. Okay, our b just 1. And then that would be plus, let me see, I can make it a little bit better. I guess it's better to color it first, not color it first, write the number first. Now b squared is just 1 square. So I'm going to fix this. Okay. Let's make the eraser go away. Let's see what's something else. Okay, it looked good. So let me just fix the color, kind of just help you, to see them. I found that many students struggle with this part. Alright. Again, you can do the FOIL method and do this. It will take you forever. I'm not saying you cannot do it. You could. Okay. So once we have this, alright, let's just go ahead and go back to simplify this. Alright, the difficult part is done. You figure out what's the A, what's your B, and then what's the formula. So right now, I'm just going to go back to simplify it. Okay, from here, go back, simplify. So we're going to have x plus 4. Alright, maybe I'm going to write right here. I really don't want some of you got lost here. Alright, so here I'll simplify, that will be x plus 4, and then multiply, actually plus 2 square root of x plus 4, and then 1 is going to be gone, that will be then plus 1 squared, that will be 1. Okay, let's just finish simplify this. That will be x plus 2 square root of x plus 4, and then plus, okay, this collect terms, and plus 5. Okay? Alright, so let's go back here and just make it a little bit easier for us. Now we're going to go back, we already simplified everything. So all we have to do is we'll just go back to bring that back in there. So we said here we're going to have x plus 2 square root of x plus 4 and plus 5. Okay? Really be careful on this type of question. Okay? So now we're going to have, once we simplify this, okay, and the next step is, if we look at this, we could make it a little bit nicer, right? So because we know the fact is, we have x and x, let's go ahead and just make it a little bit nicer. Let's move this stuff around. So from the previous example, example 3, so if you look at this, now we only have a one radical, right? So that's the only one right here. Only one radical right here. So from the previous example, you learned when you're solving this, you want to isolate this, right? So now we're going to isolate this. Alright, so let's just leave this on this side. Everything else must go to another side. So x go to another side, so let's just write it down. 3x, that's the original here. We have 3x plus 1. Right? X go to another side, become negative x. And then plus 5 go to another side, become minus 5. Right? So right here you're isolating. Right? Isolating one of them to one side. So that stayed at the same place. Alright. So once we have this, let's just make it a little bit simplified it. That'll become 2x, and then plus 1 minus 5, that'll be minus 4, and then equal 2. And then we have a 2 square root of x plus 4. Right? So once we have here, alright, now we have one radical, and then we can go ahead, repeat the process, right? Repeat the process. So we want to get rid of this square root. So now we raise both parts to square, so that way we can get rid of the square roots. Okay. Alright, now again you have to do this, either use a formula method or whatever, if you want to use the formula. So I'm going to use the formula, okay? You have to take a little bit time to do this, but I don't want to spend too much time here. So just go back and see how you use the formula, okay? So this is going to become 2x, that will be our a squared, right? A squared, that will be 4x squared, okay? Minus 2ab, that will be 16x, and then plus 16, okay? So again, take your time to do this, okay? I just did it in my head. Then we're going to have here, you're going to have a 2 squared, okay? So that is the form, if you cannot remember. If you have a and b, and then to the nth power, the same thing as a to the nth power, and then b to the nth power, okay? So this is going to become 2 squared, which is a 4. And then here we have x plus 4 squared. Maybe I could just do 2 squared. But anyway, hopefully you got this. And then now you're going to make this, right? Let's simplify this. So let's just do this. And then we're going to have 4. This process, square root and square root, they're going to be canceled. So we're going to have x plus 4. Okay, make sure you put a parenthesis here, otherwise you will get lost. Let's go ahead, finish up this. Alright, the rest of the things, all they're just really taking time, but there's nothing new here. Okay, you just thinking about, you know, in the morning you're waking up and then you have you know, it's not pretty and all this stuff. You're not probably happy. You fix your hair, all this stuff. It's just thinking about that process. Right here, we want to make a really quadratic equation. It's nice looking. You get out the door. Okay, so let's thinking that way. So make it a little bit better looking distribution. And now we're going to move these around, move everything to the left. Okay, so we're gonna have minus 16x, positive 4x. That will be subtract 4x. You go to another side, become negative, and then we're gonna have plus 16. All right, plus 16 plus 16. Actually, you know, I'm just gonna write it down, but they're gonna be gone, right? And then go to another side. So there's a portion, they're gonna be gone, be 0. So we're gonna have 4x squared minus 20x equals 0. Okay, you just have to be a little bit patient. Okay, let's take a deep breath. You go back to look a little bit. Okay, where you have started. So when you have a two radical, right, make sure you isolate one of them, then you raise the power. Once you raise the power, and then it's going to become only one radical, and then you isolate one more time, raise the power, and then clean it up, and turn them into a quadratic equation. So once we have this, or in this case, alright, we only have 4x squared minus 20x left. We can just go ahead, we're going to solve it. So in this case, we're just going to solve it by factoring, right? So we have 4x in both, alright? So we're going to have x minus 5 left equal 0, okay? And then, let's go ahead and go down a little bit. Okay, let's go down a little bit. So now we're just going to solve it. So this is going to become pretty, okay, that would be 4x equals 0, or x minus 5 equals 0. And then let's go ahead and finish up this. Okay, finish up. And then we're going to have, I know it's a long process. Okay, x, that will divide for both sides, we'll have 0, or x minus 5 equals 0, which is x equals 5. Okay? Alright, that is how we get our x. Alright? But you have to remember, because we raised the power to even power, right? So now what you have to do is you must check your answers. So now we're going to check the answer. Okay, let's go ahead and check the answer. So let me just go back to, find it back. Let me just write the original equation down so that way we can check your answer easily. We're going to have 3x plus 1 minus square root of x plus 4 and then equals 1. Okay, let's go ahead and check this. Does it need some more room? Okay. Alright, so let's go ahead and check for x equals 0. Go ahead for x equals 0. Let's go do this a little bit faster. So just plug in. So that will be 3 times 0 plus 1 minus 0 plus 4, and then we want to check is it going to give you 1. So in this case, that will be square root of 1, that will be 1. Then here that will be minus 2, because square root of 4 is a 2. So if you look at this, alright, it's absolutely false, because the left hand side gives negative 1. Okay, so that means our x equals 0 is not one of our solution. It's not our solution, it's a false. Okay, then now we're going to check for x equal to 5. Okay, let's plug in everything. 3 times 5 and plus 1. Okay, is it going to give you, let's see, 5 plus 4. Okay, so you check this is a 16, right? That would be square root of 16 is 4. And then there's going to be square root of 9 equals 3. And then if you check this, and then we realize it's true. So which means your x equals 5 is the only solution.